This here is the second sample, and this is called a patch pocket. And our third sample is also going to be a patch pocket, but with the addition of some straight lines. So you're going to start out with this template, and you might as well just cut out the fabric for both the patch pockets at once, because they will both use the same template. And you will just simply make sure you have 2 layers of fabric. And then you are going to place this here, and I highly recommend that you get some pins, and you can pretty much just stick the pins right into this corkboard table, like so. Just so that it won't budge around. And then you can trace it. And do make sure that you get these notches. So there's a notch here, there's a notch here, there's one here, 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 here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in total. Make sure that you absolutely mark those, and I will explain why. But they become really important for folding. And again, please don't use marker. Please use pencil, because then that way you can erase it much easier. Okay, so then I will take my pins out, and you can see that I have made notches. This notch here corresponds to folding back this first piece of fabric. And then the second one up here, so you can kind of see this will be a fold line. And then these two end up being the second fold line, so you're going to fold it twice. Basically what it'll end up looking like is this. So see, fold once across this part, then fold twice across this part, and then you hide the raw edge like that. And you're also going to want to fold this edge here. So see, here is the second notch up here. This indicates folding downward. And then this one, same thing. And then when you get to the bottom, it's going to be similar. They should basically measure 1/2 inch. So my example is a little bit large, but let's measure it. Yep, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, yep, 1/2 inch, yep. So the only one that's not 1/2 inch is obviously this bigger second fold. So you might find it easier to actually start with these folds first. And yes, the corner is going to kind of get folded. And I recommend that you just fold like the bottom first, and then you take your thumbnail and you kind of scrape across. And that's just kind of hold it. And then you can take an iron and iron over this. Then you can do the corners next. Fold, kind of really fold that fabric with your thumbnail, get an iron, do the other corner, then do the sides, and then finally this top flap. The first sewing step is adding this small first line around the entire perimeter of the patch pocket to hold all of the flaps down. And so you are going to sew along what's called the inner width of the press foot. So, just to show you, there is this hole right here where the needle goes through, and basically when I say inner width of the presser foot, I mean that this fabric is going to line up with this inside edge of the hole right here. So that way, when the needle is in the middle, which as you can see on this particular foot number 1, this line indicates where the needle is going to sew. So if the fabric is right here, then that is how you get this very small width between the edge and the sew line. So I would end up making sure that my machine was set to all the default functions, and you can quickly do that by turning it on and off. Excuse me, off and on. 2.4, yep, stitch number 1. So then, yeah, you just start at the edge. Sometimes I even manually turn the dial and insert the needle just so I can make sure that it is in the right place before I start sewing. So as you can see, inner width of the presser foot, where it sews. And I'm just going to go all the way around. And when you get to a corner, this is where having the needle stay in the fabric, needle with the down arrow, is really important. So basically, when you get to this corner, you're going to stop right there, just a little bit near the edge. I took my foot off the pedal, the needle stayed down in the fabric. What you can do is you can, this lever back here that lifts this foot up and down, you can see that my needle is still in the fabric, and I just simply turn the fabric until it is straight again. And then I just pull my foot back down and I continue sewing. And I will do that at every corner. And then, after you have done this first line, then you will need to do your second line. And your second line does not go all the way around, it just starts at the top. From this first border line, and it just goes down and around and back up to the top, not across again. For this stitch, you will line up the edge, outer edge of your presser foot with that first outline, and then you will sew. And again, you will turn these corners, and once you have done these 2 outside stitches, you need to do one final stitch across here, or you can do that one first, but I think doing that border is easier because it holds everything together. And basically, it needs to measure about 1 inch. So about 1 inch from this previous line. And so you cannot see it anymore because it is faded, but I drew a pencil line with my ruler, and then I sewed across. So that is the first patch pocket. So again, it should look like this. Everything was nice and folded. You do the bottom first, then you can flip fold the corners, or you can do the bottom and then the side and then the corners, and then you do this top flap double folded last. You sew a border all the way around, and then you do a second one here and a line across.